Good morning, everyone. So, on yesterday class, we learned about this basal metabolic rate, specific dynamic action, respiratory quotient, and caloric value of different macromolecules like this caloric value for carbohydrate, value for fats, caloric value for proteins, and caloric value for alcohol. So we learned yesterday, and today I will focus on these recommended dietary allowance, so energy requirements, and there's a nutritional importance of proteins. So it is not SAD to Ramita Jaiswal. So it's a SDA, specific dynamic action. So significance of SDA. So simply this SDA means that is the excess energy generated after the consumptions of food. So just for example, so if I am taking a protein, so I'm taking off a protein, so which have to give the energy of 1,000. Instead of that, it will provide it will release or expended or in expended is 1,300 kilocalories. So that means excess 300 generation of this excess 300 kilocalories. So that is the specific dynamic action. And this 300 kilocalorie, the generations of extra is 300 kilocalorie of the energy. So that is usually from the previous stored energy. And because of that, while you are planning for any for the nutrition requirements of any people, that means if you are planning to the this energy chart for any persons, then you have to provide this extra energy for him. So for example, if the person is if he need 2,000 kilocalorie for per day for his for his regular activities, along with this basal metabolic rate, that time we have to provide additional 10%, so that 10% is utilized as the specific dynamic action. So yes, it is of a total percent. June generally that this SDA it is given as a percentage, total percentage को हिसाब में दिन्छ. So now we'll move on to the this one next slide, that is the proximate principle of diet. So Dikshan Sakya, so that basal conditions requirement 6 to 8 hours or 12 to 16 hours of fasting. So generally that is after 8 hours like considered. So the person should be in a postprandial, that means 8 hours to 10 hours. So now we'll back to our regular session. So approximate principle of diet. So we know that we are consuming food mainly for the getting energy for our daily need. So that means all the activities which is occurs in our body, and apart from that, these physical activities which we are doing. So for that, we are taking food. So by which it provides the energy. So apart from that, it also gives a biochemical needs of a life. But according to this, from place to place, or from these societies to society, or that means in every racism, so the staple diet is different. So the food which we are taking, so that is depends upon a culture and its availability, economics, religions, fats, and several other factor. So whatever food we are taking, so that means some people they especially if we are talking about this our Nepali culture, we prefer to having a dal, rice, and if we go for in a North Indian dishes, then they generally prefer that this one chapati instead of rice. So according to ethics, it that group to group that these consumptions of food is different. And if you go to the South Indian dishes, then they are taking of a different is this tomato rice or biryani or something that. So, but the whatever we are taking a food, the major of this all the food they contains common nutrients such as this carbohydrate, fat, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. But according to the food, the concentrations may be vary. So some food. So for example, if we take a food like a rice, so rice contains more amounts of carbohydrates. So it contains more amounts of it contains more amounts of carbohydrates. So most of the rice, so it contains the 70 to 80%, so 80 to 90%, the mainly nutrient is a carbohydrate. Apart from that, it contains a very low concentrations of proteins and fat. In the same thing, if we take an example of meat, so which contains a more content, which contains a more amounts of proteins. So 80 to 90% of the proteins. So only 5 to 6% of a carbohydrate. So the food, same meat also contains, that means proteins, carbohydrate and fat, and rice also contains this carbohydrates, fat and protein. But the concentrations that presents on concentrations of these macromolecules present on this different foods. So that is a varied. So the contributions of these nutrients to our energy is also different. So that means we need certain amounts of 100% of this energy, 100% of the energy from these three sources: these carbohydrates, protein, and fat. But according to the food consumptions by us, the percentage contributed by these macromolecules is a different. For example, in agricultural society uh, where these rice, chapatis, dal are taken commonly. On that case, what happened? The carbohydrate, protein, and fat that accounts for about 75 to 80% by the carbohydrate, 10 to 12% by protein, and 10 to 15% by fat of a total energy required by a body. So in a typical continental diet, so that means usually in a Western society, the food which consumed by the Western society, it contributes a carbohydrate as a 40 to 50%, and rest of the energy that is provided by a protein and fat. Right? So in societies like these Eskimos of Greenland and Hunter of Africa, where meat is a major food, so those persons who is only consuming meat, for them, what happened, the daily requirements of energy for them, which is contributed by mostly by a protein. So that is 70 to 80% of their daily required energy that is contributed by the protein, and rest of the energy is contributed by animal oil and fat. So that is this is the proximate principle of diet. So that means proximal principle of diet means that means whether we are taking any food, that is according to our ethnicities and social, economic, or this availability, we are taking a different types of food. But the all common things means from that foods we are getting these different these three major macromolecules which provide the energy. So that is a carbohydrate, protein, and fat. But their contributions towards our daily need of energy is different according to their concentration presence in that food. So this proximate principle for diets in this in our society, that is the mainly this 70 to 80 this 70% of the energy that is provided by a carbohydrate only, and then it is 20 to 30% that is provided by a protein, and 10 to 15% is provided by a fat. So this may be the different in case of the other communities. So now next topic, that is recommended dietary allowance. So that is the how much any nutrients should be taken by an individual per day. So this recommended dietary allowance, it is an amount of nutrients required to meet the physiological needs of an individual. So this recommended dietary allowance is that is the amount or concentrations of the nutrients. So that is required to meet the physiological needs of an individual. And the RDA refers amount required for optimizing health, and not the amount merely to avoid the disease. So generally, this when this recommended dietary allowance establishment for any individuals or in any communities, so that mainly focus on optimizing health. It is not for avoiding of the disease. For examples, we can give an example of a vitamin C. So the recommended dietary allowance of vitamin C is around 60 milligram per day. But these minimum amounts required to prevent the scurvy is that 10 milligrams. So if you take minimum 10 milligrams, so that means if you take 15 milligram of what is vitamin C also, it can prevent the scurvy. But the recommended dietary allowance, that it is normal taken by an individual is that is the 60 milligram per day, 60 milligram per day. So this recommended dietary allowance is not a minimum amounts of any nutrient to prevent a disease. So it is a maximum amounts to, not a maximum, it's a amount required for a normal health. So these RDX provide an extra provision to prevent the development of deficiency, and this recommended dietary allowance has been prescribed for all the essential nutrients as per the stipulations of a World Health Organizations and Food and Agricultural Organizations (FAO). So this for each nutrients, there is the establishment of a recommended dietary allowance. So, for example, is here some recommended dietary allowance for macromolecules, and macromolecules are different. So, carbohydrates. So, it is dependent upon the person's occupations. So, it ranges from 300 gram to 800 gram per day. So, those persons are in a sedentary life like us. That means just sitting in a chair and performing our work. So this we require a 300 gram per day of carbohydrate. While those persons who is a heavy workers, so for them it is around 800 gram of carbohydrate per day. So for proteins it is 55 gram per day, and fats it is 20 gram per day. However, the recommended dietary allowance for macromolecules is required in a very small concentrations. So you can get an example like this thiamine. So this vitamin B1, it is only 1.5 milligram per day. So vitamin E, it is 10 milligram per day, and vitamin C, it is 60 milligram per day. So macromolecules, which is the main source, which is meant for energy. So which gives energy to our body. So they are required in a large quantity, and those which is needed as a catalyst or for a biochemical work. So they amounts of nutrients which have a high antioxidants nutrients. So any nutrients which contains more amounts of antioxidants factors, then they can prevent a chronic disease such as this one carcinoma. And if we consume more amounts of this vitamin A, we can prevent from different this one difference of these eye disorders. So nyctalopia. Okay. So now we'll move on to this one energy requirements. So how much energy is required to our body? Or that means how much energy is needed individually. So generally this energy is needed for any healthy adult. So to maintain any energy balance in a healthy adult, it is necessary to supply enough foods to replace the calories expended per day. And what are the things where our energy is expended? So the total daily energy expenditure, it depends upon a majorly on this basal metabolic rate, and next that is the specific dynamic actions of a food, and next one is the physical activity. So the energy requirements of any individuals, it depends upon three factors. It depends upon three factors, and they are basal metabolic rate (BMR), specific dynamic actions (SDA), and physical activities. So basal metabolic rate. So then this basal metabolic rate. So what is basal metabolic rate? So yesterday we have discussed. So rule number 60. What is basal metabolic rate? So what is basal metabolic rate? No. So basal metabolic rate. So it is a
energy expenditure required to maintain the body function at complete rest.
At complete rest. Okay. So basal metabolic rate. So that is the energy required by any individual in complete rest. And generally, this basal metabolic rate is necessary for a different this metabolic works that is done by our body, such as this one heartbeat, or this transport of ions across the membrane. And so this basal metabolic rate is also depend on a individual's this sex, age, and body weight. However, this basal metabolic rate is a quite constant for any individual, and it can be calculated from approximations. So that is a normal BMR. This normal BMR required for any individual can be calculated by using this formula, at 1 kilocalorie per kilogram per hour. So that is 24 kilocalorie per kilogram of the body weight per day of any individual. So that by using this formula also we can estimate the roughly estimations of basal metabolic rate of any individual. So specific dynamic action. So it's a energy required for the maintenance. It is the extra energy generated during a extra energy provided by any nutrient. So that means during its conversions, that during the digestions and absorption. So after postprandial, so there is the rise of energy by any food that is considered as a specific dynamic action of a food, and this energy is required for the maintenance of a SDA is also the energy required for the maintenance of specific dynamic action is also quite constant, and it is about 10%. It is about 10% provision is made for specific dynamic action. So these specific dynamic actions of a food is depends upon which food we are going to consume. So this specific dynamic action is different for different macronutrients. For example, protein require more energy for a digestion. That means it require a more specific dynamic action. So generally, this for the protein, specific dynamic action is around 20 to 30%, and for carbohydrate it is 5 to 6%, and for fat it is 11 to 13%, and for mixed diet it is around 10%. So most of the time we are consuming the mixed diet, so that it is specific dynamic action. So about it's a quite constant. So and then it is usually it is made as about 10% of a provision. So 10% provision is made for a specific dynamic action. So physical activity. So this among these three factors, and this physical activity is the most important changeable component. And the energy required for a physical activity, it varies from one individual to another, and even in a same individual also from time to time. So for example, if we are studying or simply sitting, that time we need a less energy. Again, if we switch to for a cycling or jogging, then we need a more amount of energy. So time to time, so which type of physical activity you are going to perform, according to that the energy requirements is also different. So this this energy requirement is depends on occupation. So which occupations you are in, and physical activity, which type of activity you are doing, and lifestyle of an individual. So the different energy requirements for different activities you can see on here also simpler calculation. For example here, so if any individual is performing fast running or dancing, then he or she require 9.7 kilocalorie per kg body weight per hour. And similarly for bicycling, so it requires 9.4 kilocalorie per kg body weight per hour. And here if you are simply reading and writing, then you need a 0.5 kilocalorie per kg body weight per hour. Simply if you are lying quietly also, it requires 0.1 kilocalorie per kg per body weight per hour. So when you are calculating your energy consumed, so how much energy is consumed per day, so whole day if you are calculating how much energy is consuming, then you have to keep an attention on these three factors. So one is this basal metabolic rate, which is unchanged, and this specific dynamic actions, that is also unchanged. And for these physical activities, you have to calculate the different physical activities and how much time you have done that activities. So according to that, so how much energy you have spent on that particular time, so that can be calculated. And after all, by this adding of this all the this energy expenditure, then we can calculate how much energy is expended in a day. So that can be, we can calculate. So for convenience, this activity levels, so the physical activity levels, it may be divided into three groups. So sedentary, so those persons who are doing a sedentary, that means there's students, doctors, and there's teachers, they all are grouped under the sedentary occupations. So that like is writing, studying, clinical work, and kitchen work, and moderate work. So that is that includes the plumbing, walking, this painting, tennis playing, and heavy workers. So that is a stone cutting, coal mining, weightlifting, swimming. So which require more amounts of energy. So this how much energy is required for any individuals or for that physical work, that can be roughly we can calculate it. So for the persons who are in a sedentary work, for them the energy required for its physical activity is, that is the plus 30% of BMR. So that means if any so for example, the persons who are in the sedentary work and he need 1,000 kilocalorie per day for his basal metabolic rate, then he need an extra 300 kilocalorie for its physical activity. So that is a plus 30%. So on for moderate work, it is 40% of BMR, and for heavy work, it is a 50% of BMR. That by estimating the individual's basal metabolic rate. So for sedentary work, the per individual require a plus 30% of a BMR. For moderate work, it is plus 40% of BMR, and for heavy works, it is plus 50% of BMR. So depending upon which type of work, so this extra energy should be supplied. Right? So this for heavy work, it may be the 50% to the 100% of a BMR. So should be added. And this energy is also supplied in a special cases. So like these are special conditions of a period. So like for example, the growing phase. So the persons, the infants, so we should the daily requirements of the energy is around 120 kilocalorie per kg per day. And for the infant, the children in between 6 months to this 1 year, it is 100 kilocalorie per kg per kilogram per day. And the women's which is in a pregnancy. So along with his daily requirements, additional 300 kilocalories should be added. And for lactation, it is an additional 500 kilocalorie per day. So calculations for energy requirements for this is the example for a 55 kilogram persons. So having a moderate work. So you can calculate by that. So this for basal metabolic rate for a 55 kilo persons, so kilograms person. So that is, so a person's required, that is in normal, in generally the any persons they require a 1 kilocalorie per kilogram per hour. So that is for day, that is a 24 kilocalorie per kilogram per day. So if the person is 55 kilogram, then the basal metabolic rate, the energy required for the basal metabolic rate is 24 multiplied by the person's weight, that is a 55 kilograms. So that is a 1320 kilocalorie. And for its physical activity, this is the moderate worker, so that he require a 40% of a BMR. So that is the 40% of BMR is, that is 528 kilocalories. So total energy required for basal metabolic rate and his physical activity is around 1848 kilocalorie per day. And again, you need this specific dynamic actions of a food. So that is the 10% of a total energy. So that is the 1848 kilocalories. So that is 184 kilocalorie for SDA. So the total energy required by an individual for a day who is performing a moderate work is around 2032 kilocalories. So it is approximately around near, it is a 2050 kilocalorie per day. So by these simple calculations, that is a simple formula, you can calculate how much energy you required for a day. So daily energy demands of most adult men vary between 2,400 kilocalorie to 4,000 kilocalorie depending upon their activity. So that means sedentary to heavy work. And also the recommended allowance of the nutrients, that is also for an individual is also depend on the age. So the growing children's, so here you can see the for young adults, according to their different occupations, that is also different, and according to age also, that is the different. So for adult, you can see your sedentary workers, it requires in a mean 2,400 kilocalorie. For moderate workers, it requires 2,800 kilocalorie, and for heavy workers it is 4,000 kilocalorie. And similarly in the women's it is different, so it is a 1,900 kilocalorie for a sedentary worker, and for a moderate worker it is 22,200 kilocalorie, and for heavy workers it is 2,600 kilocalorie. And additional, if the any woman that is having she is pregnant, then she required additional 300 kilocalorie, and she is in a lactation, then she required plus 500 to 700 kilocalorie. And for infants, so according to the age, so for infant it is up to 6 months 120 kilocalorie per kg body weight, and 7 months to 1 year it is 100 kilocalorie per kg body weight. And for the children it is also different, so they do for 1 to 3 years it is 1,200 kilocalorie per day, for 4 to 6 years 1,500 kilocalorie per day, 7 to 9 years it is 1,800 kilocalorie per day. So this is the differentiation. So now we'll move on to the next topic, that is the nutritional importance of protein. So we know that these proteins are the building blocks for a body tissue. So there's the dietary proteins, so it's provide a amino acid, and this amino acid is utilized by a body for a synthesis of proteins in the body, so which is used for build up the different tissues, or it is used for a synthesis of different functional proteins, so like these enzymes and these hormones. And apart from that, this it also contributes 10 to 15% of a total energy required by a body. So most of the energy which is required by a body, it is provided by a carbohydrates. So when talking about the source of the energy, for source of energy as a protein, so it is a food source of energy. So generally this protein, they are able to provide a 8% of energy requirements of any cell. And these dietary proteins are a only source for essential amino acid. So as per World Health Organizations or these food and agriculture organizations recommendations, the safe levels of protein intake for an adult is 0.775 gram per kg per day. So for the synthesis of the body proteins, all the essential amino acids should be supplied in adequate quantities at the same time. So dietary sources for proteins. So for the supplements of protein, the animal sources are a good source. So on that, this meat, it contains 17%. So fish 16%, and egg, that is, it contains 12%, and milk, it contains 3.3%. However, these animal proteins are a first class proteins with a high biological value. So this high biological value means that is the proteins which is from animal source. So they are easily absorbed from a body, and they can provide a good source of essential amino acids to the synthesis of the protein. So they have a high absorption rate. So they are called as a first class protein. So vegetable sources, soybean, so it provides a more amounts of the protein, so which contains a 43%. So cereals, it contains 5%, pulses, it contains 10 to 20%. However, these plant proteins are called as a second class proteins with a low biological value. So their absorption rate is poor as comparing to the animal source, though they contain more amounts of proteins than animals. So daily requirements of a proteins for an adult male, it is 55 gram per day. For female, it is 45 gram per day, and the pregnant woman, it is 55 gram per day, and for lactating woman, it is 65 gram per day, and for children, the protein requirements is 2 gram per kilogram body weight, so per kg body weight. So protein requirements. So why this dietary protein is needed? So these dietary proteins, they are needed for body growth and repair and maintenance of tissues, and it is also needed for replenishing the amino acids, so which is lost in a urine, feces, saliva, skin, hair, and nails, and it is also necessary for replenishing amino acids there, which is used for the synthesis of non-proteinous nitrogenous compound and for other bodily activities. So these dietary proteins are generally supplied for the replenishing of the loss of the amino acid during different activities. or different metabolic activities. Protein energy malnutrition. So it is a deficient disorders associated with the low consumptions of protein and energy. So this protein energy malnutrition. So it is also called as a PEM in a short form. So it is one of the most important health problem in developing countries, especially in early childhood. So according to the deficiency, it is of a two distinct clinical syndromes. One is Kwashiorkor and next one is marasmus. So, however, in all the cases, it cannot be distinguished between Kwashiorkor and marasmus, and most of the time they are come in a jointly. So, which is called as a marasmic Kwashiorkor. So, marasmus. So, in case of marasmus, it is a grossly inadequate diet and leading mainly calorie deficiency. So, it is generally occurs in the early age, that is in it is occurs in between 6 to 18 months. So the main cause for marasmus is that is the early detection, early is the removal after breastfeeding. So simply that is the early eruptions of weaning. So that and then changing to the this one diluted milk, or that is the less energy containing foods, supplements of the less energy containing foods, that leads to the marasmus. And here the person's deficient. So person deficient the energy. So clinical features for this is growth retardations, wasting of muscle, and loss of subcutaneous fat, shrunken face. So the persons appear as a monkey face and absent of edema. However, here the edema is not seen since there is a there is a no loss of albumin and urea. So in this case, what happens? This serum albumin and urea can be seen as in a normal. And general management for this marasmus, that is a supplements of adequate calories and protein. So next, that is a Kwashiorkor. So this Kwashiorkor, in this case, what happened? The persons or the individuals, they have a sufficient of the energy, but they are feeding with a low protein diet, so which lead to the protein deficiency. So here also what happened? In this case, what happened? These mothers, they feed their children with a low protein containing food. So marasmus and Kwashiorkor are two different spectrum of a same disorder. So the age of onset is that is around from 1 to 4 years. So it is generally seen after the first weaning period. So generally this Kwashiorkor is most common on children's or the infants. So to whom this breastfeeding is replaced by this one different is rice, which contains only energy and less amount of protein. So this here what happened? This protein, the persons will be suffer from a Kwashiorkor when the person is feeding with a low protein containing diet. So clinical features. So for a Kwashiorkor, the edema is the most prominent. Edema is the most prominent. And so other apart from the edema, so there we can see that is growth failure, muscle wasting, this mental retardations, brownish or gray hair changes, dermatitis, anemia, hepatomegaly, and associated vitamin deficiency. So biochemical finding for that is for Kwashiorkor is a markedly decreasing of this serum albumin and serum urea. So the differentiations between marasmus and Kwashiorkor. So in case of marasmus, what happened? This albumin and urea will be in a normal level, and in Kwashiorkor, this both albumin and urea will be decreased. And next thing is that in marasmus there is no edema, but in Kwashiorkor, what happened? There is a edema. So the management for this Kwashiorkor is that is a supplement of high protein diet. So marasmic Kwashiorkor combined from a protein malnutrition. So it is characterized by the presence of edema as well as a muscle wasting. So clinical features, that is a marked loss of weight with a thin skin, so decreased muscle mass, falling of hair, and decreased size of internal organ. And in a GI, the person is suffering from achlorohydria and diarrhea. So hypertension and decreased cardiac output, decreased respiration rate and vital capacity, gonadal atrophy and loss of libido in men and amenorrhea in women. So irritability and weakness, microcytic hypochromic anemia susceptible to infections. So these are the clinical features. So biochemical finding is that is both hypoglycemia and ketosis. The normal albumin and urea in initial and decrease in later stage. So here the both things will be seen: hypoglycemia as well as hypoalbuminemia and hypourea can be seen. So treatment is that is for underlying disorder and nutrition support. So that is the providing the good nutrients along with the carbohydrate as well as the protein in this food should be provided. So this is the differences between marasmus and Kwashiorkor. So age of onset for marasmus, it is below of 1 year, and Kwashiorkor it is more than 1 year post waning phase. So it is a yearly deprivations of the waning. So that is a yearly deprivations of breastfeeding. So that is a marasmus. So deficiency, marasmus mainly it's a calorie, and for Kwashiorkor it is a protein deficient. So cause early waning and repeated infections. So cause is that the starchy diet after waning precipitated by an acute infection. So growth retardations, and here in marasmus it is marked, but in Kwashiorkor it is present. So and its attitude, it's irritable and fretful, lethargic and apathy in Kwashiorkor. Appearance of the body, so that is shrunken with the skin and bones only, and generally in marasmus the person is dehydrated. And here in Kwashiorkor looks plump due to the edema of face and lower limb. So appetite generally normal in case of marasmus. In Kwashiorkor it is anorexia. So it's a loss of appetite. So skin dry and atrophic in marasmus. Kwashiorkor crazy, pavement dermatitis and peeling, cracking and denucleus. So here no characteristic, and in case of Kwashiorkor is a sparse, soft and thin here. So associated features, other nutrients deficiencies, water, diarrhea, muscle are weak and atrophic in marasmus. So angular stomatitis, chelosis are common. Watery diarrhea, muscles undergo wasting. So serum albumin, in case of marasmus, it is 2 to 3 gram per deciliter, and in case of Kwashiorkor, it is less than 2 gram. So serum cortisol, it is increased in case of marasmus and decreased in case of Kwashiorkor.